Dear friends, happy Hanukkah. This week we are going to be reading the portion of Miketz. Miketz talks about Joseph becoming the viceroy of Egypt by interpreting Pharaoh's dream and letting him know that God is giving him a message that there will be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of hunger, and how Josef's brothers come down to Egypt to get food because the entire region was in a hunger, and he recognizes his brothers, and the process begins of how he will try to make himself known to his brothers, which we read about next week. But one of the most interesting things that we find is that Joseph is taken out of the pit, out of prison, after languishing there for 12 years to interpret Pharaoh's dream, because he successfully interpreted his butler's dream and correctly. So Joseph is brought out of the pit, is told by Pharaoh, please interpret my dream, because all my magicians and sorcerers are telling me interpretations that don't talk to me, they don't seem correct. And Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dream, and Pharaoh listens, and it sounds so right, it fits in exactly. It seems like this is what the dream is telling him. But then Joseph goes a step further, and he starts giving Pharaoh advice. Because there will be 7 years of hunger following the 7 years of plenty, you should start planning how to deal with the hunger. So during the years of plenty, store the foods in grain houses all around the country, in every city, and then we will have food in Egypt for all the people here to eat and even beyond. And Pharaoh's listening to the interpretation, and he says, you know, Joseph, not only you're a great dream interpreter, I want you to be the one to implement this action. And immediately he turned this prison boy, a foreigner, into the viceroy, the prime minister of Egypt, the most powerful person besides Pharaoh. This is incredible. This is unbelievable. And the question you'll ask is, this is a chutzpah from Joseph. Pharaoh asked him to interpret a dream. Why is he giving him advice? And why did Pharaoh jump on his advice, immediately appoint Joseph? And the answer is very connected to Hanukkah as well. In the story of Hanukkah, we find that the Jewish people, when they won against the Greeks, and they finally took back their temple, they wanted to rededicate the temple, and they were looking to rededicate the temple and lighting the menorah, and they were looking to find oil that is correct to use. And after searching very hard and turning over the entire place, they found one jug of oil that was still pure and good, left from the era before the Greeks took over the temple. What did the Jews do with that jug of oil that they found? They could have taken it and said, wow, this is a relic of that era. Let's put it away in a museum. Let people look at this jug of oil. Remember, there was a time when we had a struggle. But no, the Jews knew that if something was left for them, how do we turn it into action? How do we translate something that's in front of our eyes into a practical, productive thing today? Just to put it on a shelf for other people to look is not practical or real. So they took that jug of oil and they said, though we don't need to use it, because according to Jewish law, you can use contaminated oil if that's all that you have. They didn't have to search very hard for pure oil. But if we found it, we're going to use it to burn again, because that's what a Jew does. You translate ideas into action immediately. And that was what was unique about Joseph. All of Pharaoh's sorcerers and magicians were telling him ideas of messages he was hearing, but it wasn't related to anything practical. And Pharaoh felt that the dream was telling him a message. The dream was not just something that will happen in the future. It was telling him a message, an urgency. And Joseph was the only one who picked up on that urgency and said, Pharaoh, we have to do something today. We have to immediately start stories. So Pharaoh says, you understand the idea of urgency. You understand the idea of translating ideas and concepts and philosophies and great feelings to translate into action. That's who I need around me. And he made him the viceroy. And this is what's unique about the Jewish people. We were always taught, as great as philosophers as we are, and as great of the wisdom that we have, which the Greeks enjoyed very much, the Jewish wisdom, but they never translated into behaving a certain way. But the Jews knew with whatever we have, how do we translate it into real life? How do we translate it into becoming better and more productive? That's the secret of the Jewish people. Everything we experience, everything we know, the question is, so what now? And that is the success of Joseph. And that was the story of Hanukkah. Because they put it to action, we have the miracle of Hanukkah and the holiday we have today. And so it is in our lives, you and I, every one of us. How do we turn an idea, a feeling into action? When you feel good about being Jewish, this holiday, you feel great about being Jewish, turn it into an action. How can you make something happen when Hanukkah's over on Monday? How can we keep that feeling going, translate it into something very, very special? And then you'll find that life becomes a totally different blessing, a different world. And may God bless you and wish you a happy Hanukkah, a happy Rosh Chodesh. This Shabbat is very special. We take out 3 Torahs. Be in synagogue. It's a great omen, a great sign of blessing to be in synagogue during this Shabbat where 3 Torahs are taken out. And make sure tonight, before the candle lighting, you light your Hanukkah menorah. Candle lighting is 3:53 p.m. in Montreal. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Rosh Chodesh. May God bless you all. We love you all, and all the best.